Good morning. You're watching The Market right here in 18 now with me, Aisha Faridi, Avan Dabash, Nikunj Dalmia in the studios. And just in case you missed our Muhurat session last evening, here's wishing all of you a very happy and prosperous summer 2080. Happy Diwali once again, guys.
Happy Diwali to everyone in the 18 family.
Yes, you're looking sleepy, is it?
No, I did not have a late night on Diwali. But aren't you wondering, Nikunj, why the markets are open today?
No, look, there is a reason why it's open. And, there is a holiday tomorrow.
Yes.
And because as per the Hindu Tithi, the New Year is actually tomorrow.
Yes.
So the holiday is on account of a New Year tomorrow, which means that we celebrated Diwali last night. We'll be working hard today. Then from office, we can go and celebrate the New Year, take it rest tomorrow, and Wednesday we can be back to work.
Yeah, but we definitely need more holiday. I mean,
Yes.
Diwali doesn't really feel like a holiday. We need more.
Yeah, just a coincidence. Normally the New Year is always the next day. But this time, Diwali came on a Sunday, Monday is working, but Tuesday is off.
But at least yesterday we hit a positive note in the Muhurat trading session.
Fortunately, the small cap index once again hit an all-time high with all the conjecture on whether small caps are getting frothy and all. It closed the year in style.
It closed the year in style. It started the year in style. That is also more important. And what is important here is that the year gone by in a sense has made everyone happy. The SME investors hit out of the park. The small cap investors, they saw deep swell in their portfolio. The mid cap investors, they had a good time. And large cap investors, you can argue that, returns were not as gratifying as what the small cap index was. The returns were still positive nevertheless. Now, as you walk into trade this morning, it's not about global cues, frankly, because Indian markets traded yesterday. GIFT Nifty is indicating that it will be another, a good start. I think it is the Morgan Stanley report. And boy, oh boy, Rhythm Desai, well, he has come out with a scenario of 14% upside to the Sensex by December 2024. So, this is like the happy new year you want to start with. The house of Morgan Stanley, which has been very vocal, Rhythm and his team, they've been talking about why they like India. And now they're making a case that while they like India, but sooner than later, post-elections, foreign investors would say, we love India, and they will be forced to make a comeback. Very powerful report, we'll talk about it, but it's a great way to start your year.
Yeah, absolutely. And bullish targets coming in. In fact, let's just highlight, what the contours of the Morgan Stanley report as well are. While, of course, lots is happening at a global stage and you've got Moody's cutting US credit rating now to negative, all cheer seems to be for India, while they're not taking away the fact that, it could be a volatile year, 2024, with a lot of unknowns and a lot of event risks as well in there. But they're saying that India is their key pick within emerging markets as well as the Asia-Pacific region, saying that improving returns are only going to aid further momentum into India. Upcoming elections, of course, are going to be a point of high volatility, so they're not really taking away from that. And they're saying that, they expect equities to rise into 2024 elections. Markets are likely to price in continuity and majority government, and they see a 14% upside in the Sensex alone by December 2024.
Yeah, and they're making a case that Indian markets will actually trade above the long-term averages.
Yeah.
So while the structural pillars of the Indian bull market, which is macro stability, strong relative and absolute growth, given what the Indian economy in terms of positioning is, India's 401k1 moment, which is the SIP culture and the flow of local money. There is consumption boom which is at play, and there is a strong capex cycle which I think is evident. So these factors are not new. But what they are now making a case is that there are two catalysts which you have to understand, which would be the differentiating catalyst for 2024. And that would be number one, elections, and number two, earnings. Their view on election is that in the short run, the state elections results in the month of December of 5 states could create volatility, especially if BJP loses majority. And then, of course, the key could be the 2024 election. So volatility could really be the name of the game. That is what they're making a case. On earnings, they are making a case that FY24, FY25 earnings would be strong. If earnings are strong, and if they expect that the companies which they track will have a growth of 15 to 20%, then we are looking at a serious bump up driven by earnings and driven by some P expansion in next 2 to 3 years.
The overweight stance from Morgan Stanley, as Nikunj flagged off, consumer discretionary, financials, of course, industrials and technology. And the focus list has changed with a replacement of Titan and SBI cards. Now, instead, it's going to be DMart and Reliance Industries. So that's what Morgan Stanley is flagging off. But that aside, while, of course, we seem to be in holiday mode and, of course, the festivities are all around us, it is important to track some other events as well. We'll be watching out for the CPI number, the WPI data as well that comes out tomorrow across the globe as well. You've got the CPI numbers from the US as well as from the UK. Initial jobless claims will be important, and there will be some other key cues that the markets will be tracking. That, and then, of course, I think something, Nikunj, that we've been talking about, like a broken record perhaps, the liquidity situation, the fact that despite the fact that off late we've had FIIs that have remained net sellers, look at where we are, a lot of support from the domestic investors.
Yeah, so frankly, if you ask me, there's nothing fresh to add in that perspective, given the fact that, now everybody is talking about it, whether it is the SIP culture, whether it is the flows which are coming by the PMS scheme. That I think has really been the linchpin or the hallmark feature of in terms of where the market action, where the market support seems to be coming from. And I think this is just the beginning. I mean, we've talked about this data, that you look at the number of OTT accounts, look at the number of food delivery accounts, but look at the number of active DMAT accounts, and look at the number of mutual fund folios. The number of OTT accounts in India are north of 25 crores. The number of food delivery accounts, well, they are about 25 crore plus. Number of mutual funds, they're less than 5 crores.
Yeah. And what happens if it even gets remotely close to the number of OTT accounts?
Then Sensex will not be here.
Exactly.
That I can guarantee.
Yeah, they're not looking at just the 15% upside, but their target is going to be reached pretty soon.
And then Morgan Stanley bull case will come out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, then that strategy is not going to work out.
But see, today, you may not see too much of price action. It's going to be... it's just going to be one of those days where listless, some would trade, some may not trade. But in terms of a theme, I think for next 2-3 days on WhatsApp groups, on social media, a lot of brokerage narrative, what we'll discuss in our newsrooms would be what were the Diwali sales.
Yeah.
I mean, numbers are floating around that how much gold was being sold. Numbers are floating around, what were the long queues outside Titan. Numbers are floating around, what happened to the firecracker sales and what happened to, in general, the small town activity in terms of gifts and dry fruit sales. So I think the next 2 days, we've been talking about a bumper Diwali in terms of the consumer spend. I think this is the time when next 2-3 days data would come. And expect the uptick actually would be much higher in discretionary.
Yes.
So discretionary, small token, things which you typically buy on Diwali, I think those numbers for next 2-3 days could really keep the market warm.
Yeah.